Hey everyone, and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake, and today we're going to be looking at the subreddit r/idontworkherelady. If you guys have stories of your own, then I've actually got a Discord which you can join with the top link in the description, and you can submit your own stories there, and I'll read the best ones in a user-submitted Storytime video. She started at an 8, then went to an 11 real quick. To set the scene, a well-known athletic shoe store is having its annual big sale with 40% off regular price shoes and an additional 50% off already marked down clearance. My husband works a physical job, has foot problems, and this particular brand of shoes kept his pain to a minimum. He does go through shoes quickly due to the miles he puts on them and what he walks through as he does, so we always watch for this sale to stock up. He's also a smaller guy. He's 40 and covered in tattoos, but with a baby face and shorter than me by half a foot. He wears a men's size 7, which is sometimes in the kids section, and is sometimes the smallest in the men's section. This year he also got hurt at work, so his dominant arm is in a sling, and he is struggling doing simple tasks, such as putting on and trying his shoes, shaving, and such. He's currently sporting about 4 days of unshaven face. It should also be noted that this takes place in winter, about a month ago now, in New England. We are dressed for winter, with me in a large coat with fake fur trim and a winter hat. Our one mistake was sleeping in on a Saturday, and then going to the store, which was an hour drive away. When we got there, the place was a disaster. The few employees that weren't on a register were running around wildly trying to help people. All of the outside walls of the store had been stocked with clearance, along with some of the aisles, but there are boxes of shoes all over the floor from people just leaving them behind instead of putting them back. I find one of the seats in a corner to sit my husband in. Due to his height, he often gets bumped into by people not paying attention, and with his injury, that would cause him a lot of needless pain and additional injury. He hates being effectively babied like this, but, well, he has no choice at the moment. I then enter the fray, pulling as many different pairs of shoes in his size/styles I know he likes and as I can find, and then bringing the lot back to him. I then help him to try them on as one would by putting them on his feet, helping him tie them, etc. While I help him, we talk about where we might go for lunch and our dog's recent behaviour, peppered with comments about the shoes. He picks 3 pairs on clearance and I go to put the rest back on the shelves. As I turn around, I come face to face with a woman who, along with her female adult companion and their multiple children, have been relishing in making the mess bigger. She is snarling at me and barks a "Finally!" with an exasperated sigh as she plops herself on a seat. "Now, I need 4 pairs of pink sneakers in this style." She holds up her foot. "From clearance, in sizes 4, 6, 8 and 16, women's." Yeah, even finding 1 pair of pink shoes in any size was unlikely. This is clearance. The ugly shoes are the ones left. Sorry, I don't work here, but I think the ladies section is BS. I just watched you help that kid over there. She points at my husband. "Where the hell is your mother anyway?" Logic check. Seriously, lady? Even if he was 12 or something, he could buy shoes alone. Also, if you really think he is a kid, why isn't your next assumption that I'm his mother? Of course, he gets really embarrassed, and, as he tends to be quite shy, looks down and turns red. Me, being a bit curtly, "Yeah, that's my husband," and I go to walk around her. "Don't you effing lie to me. If he was, why the hell would you be putting his shoes on like that?" I look back at my husband and we make a kind of "WTF, this lady's nuts" face at each other. I roll my eyes and, at this point, I choose to ignore her. Before changing careers, I worked retail for 20 plus years, all the way up to store manager. 60 to 70 hours a week dealing with crazy customers sent me back to school, and now I work a 9 to 5 in a nice, quiet cube farm. I am no longer paid to placate people like her. Apparently, my ignoring her angers the beast, and as I reach up to put a box on the shelf, I am yanked backwards by the neck. She is pulling on the hood attached to my coat. I trip on a box that is on the floor, spin around, wide-eyed, and before I can say a word, she screams in my face. "Get me the shoes I want now!" Suddenly, a wild manager appears, drawn by her screaming, and runs up. "Hi ladies, can I help you with anything today? I want this rude lady fired. She is... I don't work here." I walk back over to my husband, who is now standing and trying to control his anger, and grab the stack of the 3 boxes that he has selected off the floor. We go to turn to walk away, and in an instant, she has stormed over and knocked the boxes out of my hands, directly into him and his slinged arm. He screams in pain, clutching his arm as my attention goes immediately to him. When I look back up, the manager has moved in between the lady and us, and she is yelling about how I'm a liar. The manager is trying to see if my husband is okay, and we are just trying to leave the situation before anything else happens. The manager gives a half smile, helps me pick up the boxes, and we walk towards the lengthy register line. As we wait at the front, we can still hear her tirade, and then the most beautiful sight of police officers entering the store appears. The woman is soon after escorted out of the store by the officers. The funny part to us is that her companion and herd of children, from the very start of the confrontation, had pretended not to know her, even though they had been obviously connected before then. They stayed in the store and continued shopping as she was brought out. We did have to make a small statement to the officers, but I don't know what happened to her afterwards, and we didn't press any personal charges. After talking with the cops, the manager did ring out our purchase personally and scanned an additional discount card. We ended up with 3 pairs of shoes for only $40. Edit. Like many have said down below, pressing charges against her ourselves would have been a much bigger difficulty than we wanted to deal with. The store itself was an hour drive from our home already, and I'm sure both the hood yank and the box toppling would have been claimed as accidental if brought to court. I didn't fight because it would only have escalated the situation. My focus was protecting my husband and getting him away. I have a history of fighting when needed, but I don't like doing it and prefer avoidance techniques. That, plus 20+ years in retail, trained someone how to be screamed at by a lunatic without escalation. I understand her not wanting to press charges because she didn't want to deal with it, but I really think she could have won that because that is assault right there. Teacher threatens to get me fired. I don't work or go to that school. My mum was the principal's secretary at a middle school in Pennsylvania. During summer vacation, I would go in and help her get mailings out to students for the next school year. I attended the rival middle school. I was 14. I would bring a movie and my roller skates and skate round the empty halls. I was eating lunch in the school library, just relaxing, and a teacher who was getting his classroom ready for the next year thrust some papers at me and told me to stop eating and to get off my fat butt and take them to the office. I just laughed and said, "Bring them yourself." He got all huffy and started to stutter, and said, "Screw you," and then grabbed up the papers. I believe it was a schedule for the upcoming year, and then left. He stormed into the office, which was just across the hall. He started yelling at my mum that her assistant was a lazy, fat woman. Cue Mama Bear. She stood up and got really close to his face and said quite loudly, "I don't have an assistant. If you mean my daughter, you would be best to just turn around and walk away." And the last I saw of him was him leaving the office and scurrying down the hall looking very pale. I don't know how he thought I was an assistant. 1, I'm like 14. 2, I'm wearing roller skates. And school secretaries don't have assistants. This happened like 26 years ago, so I may be off on some details. Well, how does she remember something 26 years ago? What? That's some hard memory right there. My house isn't Wendy's, and no, you cannot touch me. This one happened last year, but I decided I wanted to tell it. I'm 23, but get mistaken to be much younger, which can lead to people being insanely rude. I live in a pretty small home. It's light coloured yellow. I live in a safe part of town, but unfortunately, many drink here. I've had drunks and everything at my door. But this one takes the cake. My home being yellow attracts a lot of attention. I was chilling at home, and I hear someone at my door and the bell ring. I'm thinking it was my neighbour. I open it, and standing in front of me is a gentleman about 30 years old. "Hey, I want an order of nuggets, please," he asked in a kind of rude tone. I laugh and think he's joking and say, "Sure, do you want a large drink too?" He says, "Yes, please." Then I laugh and say, "Wendy's is down the road." He smirks and goes on about how my house and polo shirt I had on looks similar to Wendy's and that I look too young to live here. I tell him my age and he throws a big boy fit about how I'm not telling the truth and all he wants is nuggets. I then say, "I'm not the nugget queen. Bye." I shut the door. Found out later on he had a drug problem and used to bug people all the time for food. He also likes to try touch people too. Behold, the mighty, not the nugget queen. Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you did, then please do hit like down below, and also remember that the Discord is the top of the description if you want to submit your own stories. If you want to see some of my other videos, then click on screen right now or check the playlist down below. But for now, thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow.